This is the GenCast. I'm Travis,
I'm Taylor.
and I remember you and your cousin kind of hating it for a couple, 3 years, probably, because we were throwing further than y'all, right?
Correct.
But then y'all still played. We kind of forced you, granted, but just thinking back, did you enjoy the time, whether it was, let's just say fun, because I can't think of a better word for y'all? Because I remember specifically, we're like, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. We're like, no, y'all can wait a few minutes. Let's finish this. And y'all were like, okay.
At that point in time, it had fun moments, but it also had a lot of very unfun moments when we were playing.
What do you mean by not fun
Well,
moments?
disc golf for frustration.
So realistically, what you mean is you were losing.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
It wasn't fun when we were losing. It was a
Just,
lot of fun when we were kicking y'all's ass, though. That part was great.
yeah, but that was years later.
Ah, well. It is what it is.
Years later. Because if my memory's correct, y'all didn't actually win until y'all were like
Going
16.
further than y'all.
16? Was that right? Because I remember our first father son disc golf trip to where all four of us went. And if I'm not
Y'all
mistaken,
didn't sweep.
we tied overall.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's my point. At that specific point in time, that was 6 years later, 7 years later, something like that. Because I remember we went to Columbus.
Roughly.
That was our first trip. Columbus.
Roughly.
What do you mean roughly?
Like the math is roughly correct.
Yeah. So what I'm asking is the time in between, say from 9 or 10, 11. I don't think either of y'all were 11 at that point. Maybe one of you were. So just, you know, we'll just say 11 to 16. Because I'm pretty sure y'all were 16 when we took that first trip. You may have been 15. Kind of what was the mindset? Because I'm curious. This is something I want to know. I need
The
to know.
mindset of the first trip.
No, the time in between, like when we started and to the first trip. Like that whole 4, 5, 6 years. What was the mindset? It's like, why did y'all keep going with this? Was it because you didn't have a choice? You didn't have anything better to do? You wanted to go? I mean, what was the deal?
Determination.
Determination to beat your dads.
Yes.
I mean, that's motivation enough. I understand that.
Yeah, that was one
But
of
was
them.
that
And
strictly it?
oh no, actually had a conversation one day and we were sitting down. Uh Granted, we were like 9 or 10, so it was weird that we were sitting down having this conversation. But I remember it because we were playing 2K while having this conversation, kind of a brain off moment. And we both kind of realized that it was pretty cool that we all could have something in common if we just kept going and kept doing it.
Yeah.
So we were like, we might not like it now, but we could possibly like it later. So we're just going to keep on going. And maybe something interesting will happen. Maybe we'll win one day.
So,
I mean, our
like,
brain wasn't immediately going like, oh, this could be a forever long bond that we all have. It didn't immediately go there, but we were kind of like hinting around it without realizing it at the time.
so as a preteen, this is what you were thinking. Because
We were
it
thinking,
would have
we
been,
want to beat them.
yeah, well, obviously, because I remember we slaughtered y'all. I, I remember, and I actually kind of felt bad. I'm not going to lie. We beat y'all by like 60 something strokes. It was horrible. It was
Yeah,
bad,
we we,
and we shouldn't have been that mean, but we were.
we had the we want to beat them mindset first, and then we had the we're spending a lot of times with our dads, and it feels like we're getting a little closer to a moment. And then we had the this could be something at around 12. That's when we were actually like, this could be something. Not like playing wise, but just like what all of us were doing together wise. Because like we were 18 and we were just going to play disc golf with our dads.
Which was
How many
very,
eight? How
yeah,
many 18-year-olds
exactly.
stick around with their fathers at that point?
Exactly. And I told you that multiple times. Like how many kids, 16, 17, 18, will take their weekend, their Saturday, like all day, and just go hang out with their dads, play some disc golf? How many? In reality, I don't know. I have a feeling it's a very small number.
I have a feeling it's a very small number as well.
And we spent, because we started playing disc golf in what, 2009?
Earlier than that,
It was 8 or 9.
I think it was 8.
It may have been 8 because I remember we went to the campground. That was our first actual time to throw a disc. And then it was several months later before I got your uncle and your nephew, I mean, your cousin, involved. But after that, we started playing like every weekend almost. It took a little time, like 3 to 6 months, and then it became like a weekly thing. And then what? I think y'all were 15, 16. It was 15 or 16. I know it was in the summer when we went to Columbus. That was our first father son disc golf tournament weekend trip. We went to Lake
Yeah.
Lowndes, and see, that's what I've always told you. It's like those things, they build. You won't ever forget it for whatever reason. Whether you loved it or you hated it doesn't really matter. You won't ever forget it. Am I wrong?
Right. No, not at all.
I didn't really think I was, but okay. So let's look at it this way. So if you were 15, so let's just say look back a decade. Okay, look back 10 years. Granted, we haven't played much disc golf in the last what, two, yeah, about 2 years. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, various reasons actually. But what's your thoughts on that?
On us not playing?
Um, no, more the time while
Time
we
spent?
while we work. Yeah. Why do you think that? I mean, why do you think, what is your view on that? On the time spent part, the disc golfing part? Because I mean, honestly, yeah, we didn't go fishing as much, and you understand the reasons. I'm not getting into that for sure. We did go hunting some. It was before you
Yeah.
really cared too much, obviously. But I'm just
Uh,
a little curious, honestly.
from a now perspective or from a then perspective?
Both, preferably. Yeah, both.
Okay, so from a now perspective, it's more interesting or cooler to me that we had something of our own. Like, I know the reason you didn't go fishing, just like you know the reason I stopped going fishing.
Yep.
Cast that one aside, we then hunting when I was younger, I didn't have an interest in that. I didn't actually get into that until I was also roughly around 16 or so. So we took something that neither one of us were just gonna do, and something that one of us didn't have an interest in, and we went, you know what? Here's this thing. And then eventually it became a new memory or a new thing that me and you did that excluded everything else, basically.
Yeah, it pretty much
We
did.
created our
That's
own thing.
that, and yeah, that's right. We created our own thing. You are 100% correct.
That's the part that I like about it.
And honestly, it was partly by
Force.
no, it wasn't forced. It was just happenstance. It wasn't necessarily intentional. It was just it was there. And I've thrown frisbees for a long time. I grew up throwing frisbees. That was like one of the things, frisbee and football was basically my main things. Basketball and baseball was secondary. So, it just it resonated because I enjoyed it that much. I was like, well,
Yeah.
okay, this is like throwing a frisbee, but it's different. And you get to throw it further, and there's more challenge involved. Because I remember the furthest I've ever thrown a frisbee, and that was roughly, let's see, hold up, let me recall here. Um, I was at the corner of the house, and I threw it almost to the shop door. So we're talking about 290 feet to throw a plain old frisbee. Plain frisbee. It wasn't a disc. It wasn't a disc golf disc. It was just a frisbee. Like you go outside and play catch with. Nothing special. So in many ways, I guess, it kind of brought back the disc golf part. This is the childhood of those memories, throwing the frisbees, playing catch with the frisbee. And then it added the challenge of, trying to hit a line, basically playing golf, because that's actually what it is. You're playing golf with a frisbee and then making a putt. It's just something about it. And I was far better at disc golf than I ever was at golf. I liked golf, but disc golf, just there's something about it. I don't know. I've always felt that it's more like, for the most part, we always played wooded courses. You're walking through the woods, forest, whatever
Yeah,
word you want
nature.
to use. Right. Nature. The big open field, pasture type settings, I didn't enjoy as much. Granted, big arms, I get it. Those people enjoy that. I didn't really care for it. I don't have, didn't have, never have had the distance to do that kind of thing. But let me see
From
a target that has obstacles and try to figure out a way to navigate it. And yeah, I absolutely loved it. I mean, golf, a lot of times I play golf, I just want to throw my clubs up in a tree. Well, in disc golf, you literally do throw your club up in a tree sometimes, intentional or not. I mean, it could go either way. That's just true.
yeah, that's just fact. That's just how it is.
Exactly. It's like, here's the line. If you miss it, you're either A, hitting the trunk of the tree, B, buried up in the limbs of the tree, or C, you actually do what you're trying to do. I would guesstimate, just going off memory, I'm overall probably about 60% on doing what I actually wanted to do. But I'm pretty happy with that because, I mean, that's not bad odds realistically. It's better than 50-50, right?
Absolutely. Better than hitting nothing.
Exactly. I mean, sometimes, for funsies, we would always try something stupid and it didn't matter, especially if you were going first, right? Because you
It's
had the
true.
backup, which granted, the backup had much more pressure on them because, well, the first throw had already screwed up. So they had to make sure they didn't screw up. And I usually screwed
Also
up.
true.
Yeah, I usually screwed up more than my fair share, but also pulled out more than my fair share to make things, what's the word? Possible. I guess we'll just go with that. That's a very simple word. I mean, if you screw up off the tee, say if you're okay, your partner screws up off the tee and you have to give yourself, your team, a way to par or better, well, that's a lot of pressure. So either you put it in a safe spot or you decide it's worth the risk and you try to hit some stupid line. I
And you
mean,
hope that it works.
and you know exactly what I mean. Something absolutely ridiculous. And then it succeeds, and you're like, and it's not just you, it's like everybody is like, that was nice. That was impressive. And the sad thing is, looking back, because memories fade. I mean, I have a very good memory. You know this.
Yeah.
And it's visual recall. I remember so many things, but eventually I will forget those things. That's just the way it is. But you know what I mean when I say there's those shots that you make to where, like, I wish this was on film so everybody could see it. We would never forget it. We could just watch it again because there's been some amazing stuff that I have seen. We have done, me, you, your uncle, your cousin, we have done some really impressive stuff to not be pros.
Oh yeah.
I mean, granted, yes, we would lie sometimes and say, yeah, that was intentional when it actually wasn't. It just worked. But,
Nowhere
you know,
near intentional. I
eh,
just got lucky.
right. But about 80% of the time, 75% of the time, it was what we were trying to do. Right. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
To an to an extent, yeah. I was always trying to get the cool thing. It was just, better when I did it.
Right. But, as usual, trying to do the cool thing isn't always the smart thing.
That is also true.
Okay. I don't think you completely answered the question to kind of circle back now. So, looking back, what's your thoughts? I mean, you've already said what your thoughts were then about kind of the mindset, what y'all wanted to accomplish, and what you saw could be possible. Okay. So, we're talking you at like 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, maybe. I really think it was 14, 15. I could probably go digging. Either me or your uncle one have the actual campground tag that we kept the overall scores on. We rotated years because we did this every year for what, 4 or 5 years. But now, looking back, what would you say? What do you think on the whole thing? Like, I'm not saying regrets or positives here, just your interpretation of what we did. Okay, to kind of rephrase that and put it this way: when y'all were little, we kind of drug y'all along, okay? And y'all felt bad because you were getting destroyed playing because you couldn't throw as far, you couldn't put as good, you couldn't do whatever. It didn't matter. You got tired. You just kids, okay? Fine. But looking back from that point until we stopped doing it, what's your thought? Do you think it was an exceptional period of time, an extraordinary period of time? Do you think it was a waste of time? Do you think that it's something that you just couldn't replace with basically any other activity we all could have done together.
It's definitely nothing that can be replaced for sure. Like easily. That's a moment that I'm just never gonna forget. Just in general, you know.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad that we didn't complain the entire time and just stuck it out all the way to the end. I wouldn't change anything given the opportunity to.
Aren't you kind of copped out? You're not being very sentimental there, and you're hurting my feelings. Stop hurting my feelings, because
I'm not
and
hurting
I
your
have said
feelings.
it
That
your
is the
whole
answer.
life. I have said it your whole life. I don't have feelings. So kind of rephrase to where it makes me feel better. All right.
Oh, so
No, I'm not.
rephrase my honest statement to how it makes you feel better. Got
Yeah. No,
it.
go a little deeper. That's what I'm saying. Because, and I've told you, look, okay, our first trip, if I'm not mistaken, we actually tied for the whole weekend. Wasn't that right? It seems like that was right. We may have won by one. Either we won by 1 point or we tied. Do you remember what I said on the way back home? Okay, we'll go to the next time. Do you remember the first time y'all won?
Yes.
I said, it doesn't matter. We won anyway.
Oh, yeah. I do
Yeah.
remember that.
So
You say a lot of things. I don't know which
I
thing you want me
do,
to
but
answer to.
that one should actually stand out to you, knowing the way your mind works and the way you think. I'm really shocked that you didn't immediately say that. Me and your uncle won regardless of the score. And I said it. It's like, how many people can have their 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20-year-old kids go and spend the time with them and not want to be somewhere else? You know, it didn't matter what the score was, regardless. Y'all could have kicked our ass. It wouldn't have mattered. And as best as I can remember, y'all never did beat us that bad. Y'all have won,
Oh, no, we
yes.
did. No,
No,
no, we beat y'all that bad. No,
no,
there was a time. There was a
no,
time we beat y'all that bad. Yeah.
no. I
We
think
we beat y'all
it's,
one match on our last trip that we took before he left for
oh,
military stuff. We beat y'all. I think it was I think it was 8 strokes.
okay. You're talking about one time. You're talking about for the weekend, or are you talking about like one round?
For the weekend, I'm pretty sure we beat y'all by 5.
Mm-hmm. That's what I remember, by 5. And that's because if we're talking about the same trip, the one we went up north, Tennessee, Alabama,
Mhm.
that's because I just quit caring. I didn't care about the game. I was enjoying the experience. Let's put it that way. Because I knew that was the last time we would do it. We haven't done it since. That was our last trip. I didn't care who won or lost. And even now, it doesn't matter because in the end, your uncle and I won, regardless of what the score pad says.
And I lost.
From what you have seen, okay, just stop and think. From everything you've watched, YouTube, Twitch, whatever, doesn't matter. And everything you've heard from like grandparents, uncles, aunts, whatever, what do you think was going through our heads? I mean, granted, your uncle is more competitive than me. I have a very competitive streak. That is fair, but I'm better at containing it because I realize life situations, I guess, probably 99% most likely, that that time is something that is more important than the end result. Okay.
Mhm.
So from that viewpoint, and y'all didn't even argue. I mean, y'all did. Y'all did argue the very first time I said it didn't matter if y'all won because we still won regardless. And they're like, no, you didn't. You're just making up excuses. Like, no, y'all are just too young and too dumb to understand. I may not have said that exact thing, but that's basically what I said. So, looking back, was I wrong or was I right? Yes, I'm doing a little bit of self validation here.
You were wrong. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
was wrong? Okay. Well, I'm a failure in many, many ways. It's to be expected.
That's
Oh, well.
just tricking.
Sometimes I don't know. You gonna make me cry now? No, I'm not gonna cry.
No, not.
Nah. But you understand now what I was actually saying without saying words.
Yeah, I've understood it for years.
Well, yeah, I kind of figured, but that your emotional maturity is like way beyond your years. This is known. You back there
Hey,
getting
we're all
all
the victors.
freaking. You ain't getting all weepy eyed, are you?
No.
No. Okay. Damn it. I'll have to try harder.
No, I don't. I don't do that. I
Well,
don't do it.
now you're just lying.
Yeah,
Yeah. Mm. All right.
it's a rare thing, special occasion.
Do you remember who won the last time we went? I remember where we went. We went to many
Who
places.
won?
The overall, yeah, overall, who won? It was close.
Us.
Yep, y'all did. But we had y'all until I said, oh, well, I'm just going to enjoy it and have fun. And I didn't actually get in my competitive mindset.
This feels like a whole "you let us win" thing, and I don't really
No,
like it.
no, 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 no. We did not let y'all win. I stopped trying to be that competitive. That's what I'm telling you. Because I remember. I absolutely remember because we were in Huntsville. What was that? I can't remember the name of the
I don't
park.
remember the
It
name.
was,
I don't
yeah,
remember the name of the course.
yeah, it was kind of up on the mountain, state park. I want to say like San Monticello or something like that, but that could be very, very wrong. But it's something similar. I'm close because I remember walking the trails, playing. We had a couple. We had one or two bike riders, mountain bikers, come by, and then like round two, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna chill now. I'm just gonna enjoy the time and the experience and just have fun, see what happens. So I didn't really care. And that mentality does not do well in any kind of competitive situation, which I know y'all two were definitely in a competitive situation because,
Hey,
well, why wouldn't
I
you
had
be?
w- I had one goal, and that was for the last time because I also had a feeling it was going to be the last time we did it. My goal was to make sure it was one that we won. Send him out on a bang.
But at that point, if I'm not mistaken, we were up stroke wise at that point for the weekend, 5 or 6 strokes.
Yeah, yeah,
If we go
yeah,
by matches, it was like one or two. I can't
yeah.
remember
My
exactly.
my putting turned on towards the end. Like I handed my cigar, my preemptive victory cigar. That granted, my uncle did buy for me because he was nice. But I handed that cigar before taking a putt. The putt that I think it was the very last putt of the day, the one that was going to win us the match if I made it, and he just missed. So I said, "Hold this, you win this one." He holds it for me. I drain it, victorious.
I'm tr-
Preemptive victory cigar worked.
Maybe. I'm trying to remember what the last course we played was. Because the last one I remember, I can't really remember the name of the park. But you remember that was the one that it rained on, if I'm not mistaken. We got back there like we were on the back nine, somewhere around 13, 14, maybe 15th hole. And basically the bottom fell out. We were up in the woods at that point. So we just kind of sat there
Oh,
and
yeah.
waited.
Yeah.
And I can't remember the name of the park right now. It was nice. It was a very nice course. All the courses we played that weekend were very nice. And we played that over what? 4 days? I think we went up on like a
I think
Thursday.
so too. Yeah.
Like Paul B was not Paul B. Wrong. It's not Paul B. That was Joe Wheeler. Yeah. Joe Wheeler State Park. That was after some tornadoes and stuff. And I think the course was kind
The
of
course was down.
closed. Yeah,
We
the
didn't get
course
to
was
play it. Yeah.
closed. Yeah. So we played what, like 6, 7, 8 different courses around there. Let's
Yeah. I
see.
didn't get to. I still haven't played Joe Wheeler actually to this day.
No, we still haven't played it. I really think, I mean, I do remember playing up on the mountain. I thought was San Monticello. I could be wrong. We played another park. It was more like a city community park type deal in Tennessee, I think, like across the river, across the Tennessee River. I got pictures of it somewhere. I'm trying to remember what all we played right up in there. We played several different places. There was that other one, like the other little city park around Huntsville, down at the bottom, like closer to in town, but not. That was a pretty good course too.
Yeah.
I mean, we've played some pretty good courses around. I'd like to see more, but I'm just, I realize at this point I'm old. I'm not good. I've never been good, but opportunity now seems to have passed. So it is what it is. It's just left in a memory and kind of in a, this is what we used to do when we were all together, and now we're not all together and can't all afford it, or just don't have the time, or whatever the situation may be. It's a little sad, actually, but that's what it is. I mean, it's just like me. I grew up, I used to go fishing with my dad all the time. And then that stopped for whatever reason, work or I don't know, whatever reason. Honestly, to kind of wrap this up a little bit, I do miss our disc golf father son outings, like weekend, trips, way
Yeah.
more, way more than you probably imagine I do. Probably. Although you're most likely kind of in the same boat. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
No, you're not wrong.
Well, there you go. That's life. You
What all
have,
people say.
yeah, you have these experiences, and then for one reason or another, they just kind of dwindle or they stop, and then you're just like, well, that's a memory, and you will never forget. Which was actually one of the main reasons that we just kept doing it, because your uncle and I wanted to spend the time with you two, just because there was no other reason. There was no other reason. It wasn't about winning the weekend. I mean, yeah, we're competitive. We know that. You know that. But that was never the actual point. It was more of a, this is an experience. That's actually a little hard to say if you try to do it kind of fast. That you won't ever forget. Specific details will fade, yes. But you did that. We did that when y'all were 19, maybe 20. You won't forget that. You just won't. And that actually makes me feel pretty good because I know that you won't forget that. And you know that it wasn't exactly about what we were doing so much as it was about the time that we were together doing whatever thing we were doing. In this specific scenario, disc golf. Am I wrong?
No, no.
I didn't think so. I mean, you're it took us years because if we look back, okay, just to kind of close it out, if we look back, say you started playing at 9, which I am almost positive is correct. So we have
Start
gone
playing at 8.
eh, kind
I was
of,
8.
but we'll just say 9 to where we're actually playing. Actually, all 4 of us going together. Let's just go with 9, okay? Our first time, you may have been 8. That is true. But you barely did anything. But after that, when I got the other 2 involved, or the other one involved, your uncle specifically, and then you had your cousin with you, I had my brother in law with me, it wasn't always about winning, losing. It was about trying to do better, spending time with our kids, just enjoying the thing we were doing. And honestly, this is my thought, this is my feeling on it. Hoping that y'all would appreciate what was happening. Granted, you may not have appreciated it at the time, but over time, you did. So now, you at your age, look back a decade, look back 10 years, okay? And then kind of step through. You can see, because I can see it, you can see the building year by year or month by month, weekend by weekend, because we played almost every weekend somewhere. Almost, not always, but almost. And it wasn't always strictly about the game itself, it was more about the time and the memories that were made doing what we were doing. Because I'm sure okay, for an example, it's not an aside, this is an example of what I'm saying. You remember we were down around Mobile, around Saraland, at that campground. You remember playing cribbage.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. You remember playing rook at
Yep.
Columbus.
Yeah. Because
That's
that was our very first trip. We tied all around the board. We tied in literally everything we did that weekend.
that's my point.
We tied in rook, we tied in cribbage, we tied in disc golf.
That's my point. Over a decade later, or somewhere around a decade later, it may not be over, you remember that. And that was the actual point of the whole thing in my mind. That's why I did it. Because I didn't care about anything else. It wasn't about the going somewhere and getting away for a weekend. That wasn't it. It wasn't about beating y'all, making you feel bad, or just showing that, y'all aren't capable yet. It wasn't that. The other things, the little things, the things that you will not forget. That's what it was about. And I'm glad we did it because it's something I
Wait, aren't we
never
in a
would have
draw?
done. What?
Aren't we in a draw? Overall tie the first trip, the second trip y'all won, the third trip we won? Aren't we in a like full on draw
Well, we went
for the
every
entire thing?
we went every year, but 1 or 2, I think. I think we are in a draw actually. I would have to double check with your uncle between what I have and what he has, because I remember.
For some reason I feel like we're in an overall draw. Like for the whole time we've ever done it. We're in an overall draw.
I can't remember because that part isn't important to me. It doesn't matter. I don't care. But, that's the difference between father and son mentality. At that point, you're wanting to.
No, you're
No,
missing the point.
no.
No, you're missing the point
Am
on this,
I?
actually. Like
Am I?
100%.
Am I really now?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
Enlighten me,
cool
sir.
that the very first thing ended in a full-on overall draw. The very first one.
Yeah,
It started and ended on a draw.
I think so. Yes.
That's the point.
Uh-huh.
That part is cool. I don't care about who actually won. It's just cool that the whole ordeal started with us drawing on everything, and the end being drawed for the entire time we did those trips. That was the point.
It was enjoyable. It was extremely memorable because we both remember it, right?
Exactly.
And it's something we both would like to do again. I mean, even if it's me and you, there's nothing wrong with that. Whenever we're in the position to do so again, we should just go do it. Right?
Right.
Right. All right. That's enough deep dive for this situation, I think. Thank everybody for listening. Until next time.